How you doing, everybody? Time for video number 2 of building the body on the 37 Studebaker. This is quite a challenging little body, truthfully. It's I've never attempted one with so many compound shapes to it. But I'm determined to learn as I go, and you'll get to watch the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is turning out to be far more complex than I thought, but that's okay. You know, I put things together with basic tools and try to keep things simple and hopefully inspire you to get out there and build something. Okay, so in this video I'm working on the wooden buck, which I'm going to use to create patterns to cut the metal. So let's see how it goes. Let's get to it. What do you say? All right. So my goal now is to fine-tune the shape of this body. Now that I've looked at it for a while, it's just not the right shape. You know, a pickup size, they're straight right here. This has a little curve to it. Plus the body is a little bit too wide. I'm going to take out 1.5 inches of width where I sit and try to narrow down this front end a little bit. So I took a series of measurements here at different locations. This is what's going on right now. And then heights. I'm not changing those, they're staying the same. So I have to change the dimensions, and I'm doing a new layout. I'll show you that next. Okay, so I'm making some subtle adjustments to the lines of the body. Mainly, if you were to look straight down on top of it, a plan view, that's what's changing. And instead of this long, sweeping, continuous curve, you see that there's a section that's straight right here. From the first station, just before it starts to make the nose, to the cowl, it's straight. And then there's a little bit of curve to the door. And I figured this out from studying the, you know, the photographs. I looked at some other pictures online, and this is straight right here. At least it doesn't appear to be. It's flat. And that works out because that accomplishes my goal of narrowing this down. It still comes to the same point right here. So I have to trace this, just a extension cord here that I've used to draw the line, and then I'll make one side will be the pattern. I'll transfer it over to the other side and have an equal pattern. Okay, so I think this might look a little bit better. Okay, I have the new cardboard pattern cut out and already laid out with where the ribs go, and you can see the paper pattern, how I've changed the shape. Actually, I'm really happy with this new shape. Not quite so bulky looking. Yeah. Okay, I'm using my new layout here. See, here's the different width at different stations. I'm using that to resize these, and it's already looking a lot better. I got the first 3 ribs in there. Yeah, that's looking way better. Alright, I'm going to redo this whole cardboard thing here real quick so I can get this new look. So if you look real close, in green are the new measurements all the way down. This doesn't change back here, but this is narrower, and of course it has straight sides. Okay. Revision 3. like I said, the body needed a little bit of refinement. So I'm glad I took the time to do it because I'm much happier with the shape. The body proportion I think is better. It's more pleasing to the eye. Looks more like a pickup. The corners are tighter back here. Has the straight hood side there. Yeah, I'm happy. Okay, enough of that. Let's get on with this darn plywood. I'm laying out plywood now. The lines are kind of faint, but this is where I determined exactly the shape that I want. You know, the cardboard got me close, but now this is going to be, I'm going to be as accurate as I can. Okay, so I'm going to cut these out, get them sanded, and then I've got some aluminum angle that I'm going to use. Cut some little 3-inch pieces and use those to attach the plywood. Okay, let's get that one. Well, I'm finally making a little bit of progress here. Still have a long way to go. But you can see where I'm attaching the plywood pieces with these little angles. And then I have to put stringers in here. And right now I'm going to focus on the 3 uprights that go here. It'll basically be from here up, this same shape. Okay. It's a slow process, but I'm getting there. I got these parts installed, and once I have this all done, I'll take the belt sander and I'll kind of skim over it and make sure everything's nice and smooth, and so the metal will lay. Because you can see how it kind of dips a little bit here, but I can belt sand that out. So my next order of business is to install these pieces in the front. Alright, keep plugging away. Well, I've spent most of the day working on putting these in, and even though it's very tedious, it's rewarding. It's taking on a nice shape. Yep. Still have to work out something here in these corners and up here on the nose. But I'll work on that tomorrow. I think that's enough for today. Yep, I'm liking it. I have a substantial amount of plywood cut off getting to this point, but now I've reverted to using some cardboard to figure out how I want to piece together this nose. So I think this is the basic pattern that I'm going to go with. Here there'll be an opening in the body for the spring and the axle. So my goal would be to leave these a little bit long so I can belt sand, you know, once I can stand back and kind of get a profile to it. This gets me close, and then I'll shape it later. So I'm going to use the same pattern here on this other side. Yep, that's coming together pretty good. It's kind of a cool look. Okay. Day after day, night after night, I keep plugging away. It seems like it takes an hour to put on one piece. But every now and then I reach a milestone. So in this case, I have all the pieces on one side of the front end. So now I have to take all these off and trace them, and then I'll have a set for this side. Oh boy, what a challenge. Okay, continuing on. As I always say, the bigger the job, the bigger the mess. I gotta clean this place up. But I'm happy to report I have all the pieces on the nose now. I'll give it its final shape with a belt sander. I left everything just a little bit long, and I'll eyeball the thing up later when I have a belt sander in hand, and I'll take off the front axle, and I can really work the shape of the body, the overall shape of the body. I still need to work on these rear corners here, add a few pieces, and get this bed figured out. But it won't be long before I'll have this buck done. I think I'll end up putting the steering column back in it just long enough to drive around the neighborhood with the wood buck. That should be fun. Okay, I finished these rear corners. And since there'll be an aluminum panel in here, here's the inside corner, that'll be a flat panel, then these are going to follow this curve. And then I'll have to shape this with the belt sander to get the contour right. But that's heading in the right direction. Now I'm turning my attention to how I'm going to build the buck for the bed. And when I built this rear panel here, I started with a little sketch, and that gave me a general direction, and that's more or less what I did. You can see how it has a piece of steel here at the bottom, and there's the piece of steel, and then the plywood ribs in the corners. Okay, so in the same fashion, I did a sketch on the bed. So here's what it theoretically is going to look like. It has curved sides, radiused, and then this is a screen, and then the gas cap and the gas tank is right here. So this is just a decorative piece. But with the curve like this, I need to make a buck that will allow me to get that curve right. So these will be the two side panels, and they'll be held together by this 1/4 inch MDF, which I'll notch here and here. 6 inches there, 3 inches there. And I'll show you why I did that a little bit later. And then the front and rear frame, I'm going to make out of some wood. I have some raw materials. So I need to make 2 of these and 2 of these, and then I can put them together and that'll create the buck. Okay, let's see how it turns out. I've been working on making 8 ribs. I have them all laid out and cut out, and they're reasonably smooth and pretty much the same. And there are these ribs right here. And then I have to notch them for the top and bottom panel. And that's what I'm doing here. This isn't cut to length yet, but you get the idea. Here's where I've notched it. And then up here at the top. So that should work out pretty good, I do believe. I have to notch it around this axle right here, so that's why there's a 6-inch bottom piece. 6 inches comes up about to here. So I'll show you that in a minute. Yep. Okay, I have the first side knocked together here, and it's going to go on here like this. I have to notch it around that axle, but you get the idea. Yeah, that's going to work just fine. I have to put this one together, and then I'll make the front and rear frame out of, this is poplar hardwood, and it's 5/8 by 3/4. Alright. Okay, I'm almost finished mocking up the buck for the bed. Turned out pretty good, I think. Right now I just clamped on and glued on some little locating blocks. So the idea here is the side panel is going to be 1.5 inches thick. It's going to have an outside wall and an inside wall. And then the front and rear pieces will be 5/8 thick front and rear wall. At least that's my thinking. So that's the direction I'm moving. Okay, so next order of business is to, I got to pull off this front suspension so I can get at the whole body with the belt sander and start shaping it to its final version. Okay, moving on. Okay, so with these locating blocks, I just have to lift this up and pull it off. I got to sand on it a little bit, but it looks good. It's square. Alright. I'm happy with that. It's probably hard to see on the video, but there's quite a bit of material I need to remove to get the overall shape just right. All this front end here, each piece is a little bit long, you could say. But I can eyeball it up pretty good, and I can see right where I've got to whittle away at it, so to speak. So most of the work is here on the nose. Just a little bit back here, not much. So with my belt sander and the side grinder here, I can make pretty quick work of this. This is 80 grit, and I have a 36 grit also. So I can really hog the material out with this and then finesse it with the belt sander, I think. Okay, let's get after it. Well, it's taken me longer than I had hoped, but I'm finished with the wood buck, finally. So I'm going to put the front axle back on and the rear wheels back on, put the seat in it, get the steering wheel on there, because I want to drive it around the neighborhood with the wood buck just for the fun of it. Because ultimately I'll have to take everything back off so I can start creating patterns, paper patterns. I'll lay paper over this wood frame, and that's how I'll create the pattern for the initial pieces of metal, and then I'll start shaping. At least that's the plan. So, alright, I'm going to put this thing back together. And tomorrow I'll take it out and run it around. I have a few more little things to do so I can take this thing for a drive. I'd like to see how this thing looks out on the street from a distance, because now with this wood buck, this is the actual shape of the body, unlike the cardboard, which was still conceptual. So a couple things I have to do. I got to put in the steering shaft and put in the seat. So starting with the seat, if you remember, this had a 7-degree slanted back. Well, if I put it in here and I slide it back till it touches right here, there's 3 inches, maybe 4 of lost space down in there. That means I have less leg space. I didn't see that one coming. So I think what I'll do is just make a pad with no back, and then later I'll install a little pad right here on this flat surface. That'll be the back of the seat. I could just cut this off, but I think I'll save this for a future car. I'll just make a quick little piece of plywood base with some foam and install it all the way slid back against the bulkhead there. So, and then up here, if you remember, there was a piece of steel right here. That was the temporary arrangement, so I'll mount this plate into this wood for now, just for driving around for fun. I have to cut this out, which won't mess with the integrity here. That'll come out easy. Okay, I get that done. Oh, and I have to hook up the tie rods. So I think at that point I could get it out on the street. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Let's see how it looks. For the seat, I basically cut off the seat back. I decided to stay with this one because, you know, it has a notch here for, you know, the brake line, and then I've already had it screwed into the from below, so the screw holes will line up. So anyway, this goes in here like this. Okay, so that's like that, and then here's the back. So it'll go in there like that. I'll just run a couple screws through into that. I really don't want it to be straight up and down, but I guess it's alright. It won't hurt anything being that way. Then I'll get maximum leg space. So let's see, if I get the seat in, I can clean it up, take it off the jack stands, and fire up. You get the steering put back together, and this will hold up well enough for just messing around. Okay. Now that is cool. Alright. I like to sit down inside of it, that was the idea. It's definitely different than my other cars. Okay. Well, it's a beautiful evening, early evening, late afternoon here in April. All right, let's see a little test driving of the Studebaker. There's my wife. Running the car around the house. I'd say it looks pretty good. Has a nice shape to it. My wife has quite a bit of drive time in that cycle cart. She's a veteran of the Titan Grand Prix. She's raced before, so she's my test driver. Whew. Well, it's taken me a year to get to this point where I'm sitting here in the wooden buck. So in this third video, we're going to start working on metal. So we'll call this the end of video number 2. And as always, thanks for watching. Catch you next time.